All right, welcome to the Big Milkshake podcast. We're doing something a little bit different today. Bianca's not able to make this episode, so she's handed the reins to me, so this could be a little bit interesting. Thankfully, there may be some editing magic that takes place from Bianca behind the scenes, but look, we'll do our best. We're going to have some fun and see where this goes.
To kick us off, though, and potentially little edits, what episode is this?
That's a really good catch, Alex. This is episode 3 of the Big Milkshake podcast. This is our third episode. Yeah, look, things have changed. We've progressed in the way we've done the podcast over the last couple of episodes, and it's changing again a little bit today with me hosting. I'm really, really excited with how this has come along. It's a lot of fun. We have fun, setting up the episodes and recording them and talking to you guys, and hearing the feedback's always great to read. We decided, if you follow along to our monthly newsletter, we do the Shake Up over on thebigmilkshake.co, which is our monthly roundup of news and updates from the 219 team on the things that we're working on at the moment and what we've got upcoming. We've decided, we've been writing that now for, I think, just over 2 years, Alex. That was about how long I think we calculated. But we're going to do something a little bit different now. We're not entirely sure the final form of this, but we have some plans. Alex will talk about those in a minute. But I kind of like the idea of sharing some of that information at the start of these podcast episodes and being able to have a discussion. Because usually when we're sharing this info, it's us talking to you guys and just writing down our thoughts and sharing it. But now it's an opportunity for us to have a little bit of a discussion about it. But as I alluded to, we've been working on something that could potentially help with how we share this information, Alex.
Yeah, it's been a very exciting little project we started. We've taken the time to recycle some timber and build what is essentially a little filming set based on the interior of the Hammer and Crown, the fictitious inn from our game Kingless. Right now, it's lovely. There's a bar in the foreground. We've got some handmade ironwork up on the walls. We've got wonderful shelf. And we really styled everything after what you might see in the Hammer and Crown, which incidentally sort of is the wall behind me. We thought that would be a fantastic place to film a few videos very similar to this, as well as our updates. You'll be seeing a lot more of that coming forward. Hopefully not too long until you get the first of them.
We're still, deep into building the set, and we've got shelves that are half up at the minute, and we're missing a lot of props that we're actually building a lot of the things ourselves. So the whole set we've built ourselves, as Alex said, with some old reclaimed timber that we're sort of burning and getting to look rustic like the Hammer and Crown. And then we're trying to find some old bottles and things that resemble items that are in the Hammer and Crown within Kingless. We're building like the tip jar, and we've got some awesome wall sconces that you've made, Alex, and some other props that we're going to hang on the wall eventually when we get them finished.
Yeah, there was a big push when we were making all of that to keep it authentic to the Hammer and Crown's feel, which for the most part meant that we couldn't just run out and buy it. Because if it looks like something that you have at home or you've seen at Bunnings or Home Depot, then you know where that's from. You know what that is. That's just innately familiar to you. But if it's something I've made at home, or Seb and I build a shelf together and knock that up, or we get an antique bottle or a bit of earth, stoneware, then it really looks the part and it feels right.
Yeah, it does. I'm really proud with how it's coming along. I can't wait. We've shared a couple of pictures actually in the latest Shake Up that we posted a few days ago. There's a picture in there of the three of us standing inside the Hammer and Crown in its current form. But yeah, lots of video content to come from that in the future. And I think that is how we will sort of share these monthly Shake Up sort of dev blogs of things that we're working on and upcoming projects and things like that. We got a lot going on, and I just want to be able to share it in a digestible format. Speaking of a lot of things going on, we have started building our first app, something that we've been talking about for years. And when we were writing the original rules for Kingless, this was something that we'd sort of thought about, when you're coming up with who plays your game first, we've got the unique, or, we have the shortest person goes first written within the rules of Kingless. And that was something that is now written in those rules forever, and it will forever be that way unless, house rules, you choose how you want it to be, change that up. Absolutely. But we play an awful lot of Kingless. Obviously, with the upcoming Festival of Explosions expansion, we are playing an awful lot of Kingless. And as the shortest of three, while we're still testing in this development phase, it's mainly just 3 or 4 of us, with Bianca involved occasionally. A lot of rounds are started off by myself. So, we wanted to come up with a different way of doing that. And we'd often just throw out silly phrases that we could use, the last person to go for a jog or something like that. Last person to drink a glass of water, anything. And that would sort of change it up a little bit as to who goes first. So we've decided to build this into an app. The app's going to be called Decide On, and in its simplest form, it will present to you a new phrase. Every time you press a button, it will pull a phrase, a previously created. All the phrases are handmade by us and hosted, and it will pull them straight back to your device. So you'll always be able to have a fresh new way of starting off, not only Kingless, but any game you're playing. If you want to change it up, playing any game, we spoke about Skull that we recently played, and before we started that round, we used Decide On a few times before each round to decide who goes first. It's a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun building this too. It's I've said it before, but my background's been in technology and developing apps and things like that, and Kingless was a step away from that for me. And now we're going back to it, and it's kind of fun, and I enjoy it. And it's not a replacement for the physical games that we're building by any means, but it's a really nice companion to those.
Well, on the note of Decide On, we used it for Skull, but I used it myself just the other night when deciding who should play first in a round of a game called Greed, which was very interesting to play for the first time, and it worked great. It's just a really snappy way to decide who goes first, and some of these answers we put in, these phrases, are just really, really quite fun to put to a table and see who they fit.
Yeah, there is the side benefit that they can cause some interesting conversations. The base version, so when we fully launch the app later on this year, the app will launch with about 300 base phrases that will be included. And then we're going to have packs of additional phrases that will be tailored around a theme. We've got like a spooky theme pack, and we have a Kingless themed pack that will have tailored phrases that if you wanted to try something a little bit different rather than something generalized, you'll be able to turn those on and off and have a more tailored approach. Nathan, do you want to give us an update on the Festival of Explosions?
Yeah, it's been coming along really well. We've just got to our new version, so really happy with how it's coming through. And we're going to start bringing in some sort of wider spread playtesting now, bringing in some friends and family, start to expand the circle a little bit, start to let the secrets and the new action texts out, the new card type. So it's going to be very exciting to move to that stage of development now, because it's coming together really well. I'm stoked with how well it's playing and what it adds to the base game. So we're going to be really close to, I think, getting more into a refinement and polishing stage, which is very fun to get to.
I'm dying to share some of these new mechanics that we've got. I've just been waiting for ages and ages and ages to share some of this, and we're getting really close now. And I can't wait to start talking about it and playing with some of you guys as well. Public playtests will happen very soon. I'm going to steal your thunder a little bit here, Brown, but we will be attending PAX Australia in October this year.
Yeah, one of the best moments of Kingless was sharing it with everyone. Reading some of the reviews and things lately has just been fantastic.
Yeah, we've had some really nice reviews coming in. I love seeing how people are playing and just sharing their stories of games of Kingless that they've played with others and family and things like that. It's amazing. just being able to make something and share it with people and know that they're enjoying it is just blows my mind every time. That's a little bit of a dev update from us, a little bit of what's going on in our shake-up. We should move on to the main show. We really wanted to share some of our, how do I say it? Some of our experience with Kickstarter. Absolutely. The takeaways that we've had, and potentially help people who are thinking of doing something similar. If you've got an idea and taking it to crowdfunding, whether it be Kickstarter or another platform, we wanted to share some of that. So, Alex, let's kick off. Why did we choose Kickstarter?
Weirdly, Kickstarter wasn't something that we set out with a set of criteria and found. We actually set out with the idea of making a game and putting it on Kickstarter, which isn't to say we didn't look around at alternatives, but we had heard so many good things about tabletop games manufacturers being able to do this with their first project, and we figured that was part of what we would do. So it's a known platform for tabletop games funding. Fans of tabletop games are there. Whoever's listening, I implore you to go to Kickstarter now and look under the games section. You will see just an endless wave of creativity and indeed skill. Some of these games are tremendously well put together.
I think it's important as well that these are not just huge game studios that are, launching on Kickstarter. There are a lot of them are single person development studios or people similar to us that, a group of friends that have come up with an idea and built it and are trying to raise funds to actually take it to market. And it's such a fantastic opportunity to step those programs and those games into more than just an idea.
Yeah, the size of some of the smaller projects actually is really inspiring. Every year they run Zine Quest, I believe it's Zine Quest actually. But every year they get very small RPG focused projects in, and the scale of some people's dreams or the idea that they have to share really can be as small as you can encapsulate all those ideas in. Some of them, it only takes a few $100s to get that out to people that believe in it and genuinely want to have fun with it. And that's something the Kickstarter can allow.
Yeah, I mean, there's inherent risks with it, and shipping at the moment is, something that's on the back of everybody's mind at the moment. Not only in Kickstarter projects, but literally everything at the moment. Shipping is a nightmare. What did we just share with me, Alex? What we sort of did when we put the Kickstarter together, some of the early days when we were initially building.
So right from the get-go, we knew we wanted to use something called a pledge manager. Now that's a sort of another interface between you and your many backers. You can do lots of things with these, but the main reason to use one is shipping, because you can charge shipping to each backer based on where they are or the exact time that you're preparing to fulfill. Otherwise, you need to do fairly significant bulk charges through Kickstarter, which is slightly inflexible. Kickstarter takes a percentage then of that shipping amount, so you need to charge your backers more, and no one's excited about paying for shipping. There's not one person on earth, I'm convinced, that goes, yes, I'd like to pay more for shipping. That's what I'm into.
I mean, I think you covered it off there, but it's important to note that Kickstarter do have facilities to do this built in, and that if you really want to make it simple and part of the package, that Kickstarter handles it all. And it's a lot easier when you're perhaps just shipping to or planning a Kickstarter to your own country, let's say. But if you're looking to ship globally, or you have backers from all around the world, looking into a pledge manager is, I recommend it. It helped us a lot. It made things a lot more flexible for us and for the backers as well. It made things easier, run a little bit smoother.
Yes, of course, because we had backers all over the world, which was really fantastic to see. But it did mean that we had quite a complex shipping solution in the end.
Yeah.
So other things we did in the lead up to the Kickstarter, advertising is really important. You can have the best thing in the world, but if you don't drag eyes across it, it really won't move. and I imagine there's just a great tragedy out there. There will be dozens and dozens of fantastic projects that people just don't see.
Yeah.
So we had to reach into the pockets and shell out a bit of money for advertising. Now, we did that through the service responsible for our pledge manager, and that was actually fantastic. It dragged loads of people across the project, and a fair number of them actually decided to stick and ended up supporting the project. One other thing we set up for our Kickstarter was different pledge levels. We set out with a base game, because inherently we've made something fairly straightforward. We made a game, Kingless. That's one of the tiers, a base game. We then did a limited edition game and a very unique third tier, where you can actually get yourself as a card written into the game, but clearly at a much higher price point. That was only for people that really were excited by that idea and believed in the project to perhaps the fullest extent that you could.
And we had a couple at that level. I mean, we can't share details. If you can figure out the cards, within Kingless, then great. But we're not going to share which ones they are. But we did have a couple of people that were backers at that tier, which was so exciting, being able to work them directly and help them craft their character and inject a little bit of their personality into our game as well.
It was so nice after developing all these characters to have a bit of a fresh perspective and
absolutely
a little new take injected into the game, which we meshed well with everything else that was there. But that was really nice. That brings us to stretch goals.
Yeah.
So stretch goals are a fun little way to motivate your backers to share your project far and wide, to try and get more backers into the project, to get the total number higher. Because the more money you raise, the more things become possible, really. We started off having little bits of art done for each of the stretch goals. One of these is my favourite bit of art, almost entirely from the Kingless universe. And that is the unicow, a little Highland cow with one horn. We set one of these very low so that it would be reached easily, because we really wanted to include it. And that was some upgraded cardstock. We also then had another target for 5 additional cards, which we felt would really round off the gameplay nicely. And at this higher amount, that was easy to reach and have printed and incorporated into the game. So I was really, really chuffed when we managed to reach that target as well.
The cardstock was a huge one for me, and I know it was for you as well, Nathan. Making sure that we always set out to create a high quality product, but that tactile feel when you're just holding the cards, and so much of the weight of the game is in what you're holding and playing with in your hands. That was really important for us.
And that's you do get some games, and you'll have the deck of cards in it, and they just seem to get grotty fairly quickly. So upgrading that card stock actually, provides a bit of longevity to your playing. So I don't want to trash talk any games openly, but I can think of one quite recently with a deck, a certain co-op sort of trick-taking game where the cards got played with a lot in a short time and they just started getting sticky and not nice.
They don't last. Yeah. So while we knew that, and this was a stretch goal for us, we were, even if we didn't meet the stretch goal, we would have found a way to have moved up into that better card stock. I think it was really important for us to make sure that was going to be there.
We were a stone's throw from reaching into our pocket and funding that one ourselves.
Yeah.
That's it. You want to put out the best thing you can, and this was a project that we poured our hearts and souls into. So you don't want it to be, let's have the bare minimum stock here, and take a bit of pride in your own creation. So we're stoked that we could.
That is one thing you get with these, crowd-funded Kickstarter sort of games. You get these smaller creators, much like ourselves, who are really passionate about their projects. The idea of reaching into your pocket and spending your own hard-earned to make someone else's game that they're going to receive and play with better would be interesting for a larger corporation to take as an approach. But
and I think that lends into our approach throughout development of Kingless. We always said that we were going to build Kingless as far as we could physically get, self-funding this whole project, and we wanted to take a finished and polished game to Kickstarter that we could show off. and raise additional funds to then take to manufacture and distribute globally around the world. And that's what we did. We threw our own capital into this idea before we even went to Kickstarter.
I think that's really important for a first project, because the customers or the backers, they don't know who you are. They don't know if they can trust you, essentially. So the fact that we could put forward a good looking product, we had all the art, or most of it, at least 90% really sorted by that time, and we could present like, this is real, we're legitimate.
Yeah.
Which it's
I'm exactly right. Like, communication is key, and being able to show people that you are here to build an actual product around this, and a proper product, as opposed to potentially just throwing something together and trying to get some money for it.
Actually, on the note of communication, that was something else we set out to do. We knew that we had to be really responsive as a Kickstarter, to build that confidence, and also just to meet a standard that we'd like to receive. The old golden rule, treat others as you'd like to be treated. So we messaged every backer, and every time we received a message, we always got back as quick as we could with the best information we could, and that's just a huge focus throughout. We wanted to make certain our communication was top notch,
and being open as well, sharing details on shipping delays, manufacturing delays if they happened, make sure backers were aware of the exact process that we were going through. Obviously you can't share every single detail, but being as open as you possibly can just makes the process easier for everyone. Makes it more of a positive experience, I think. I mean, obviously we tried to mitigate any of these risks throughout the process as much as we could, but things happen.
COVID.
For those of you that aren't in the know,
COVID.
Well, we didn't include that in our initial risk assessment when we approached this.
Didn't foresee that one. We're sorry.
No. But there is a section on Kickstarter where you do actually list the risks for your project, and you explain how you've met them or how you've addressed them to every one of your backers. And I was reviewing them recently, and I was actually really pleased to see how well we measured up against them, because doing all of that artwork for the actual game, working with known manufacturers, known parties with excellent multi-year reputations in the industry, we really took every step we could to mitigate every one of those risks to the fullest extent possible. Obviously, anything could happen. A global pandemic, the likes of which we've not seen for 100 years, could come, but that is what it is.
It's probably a good segue, Alex, to sort of lean into some of the things that we could potentially have done better in this. I think it's really important when we're reviewing the work that we've done to understand where we could have improved, things we could have done better. I don't actually think it's a great learning experience to take away from this. And I know we had a few. There's always things we can improve on, and we're always trying to improve on everything we do. Some of them, we've mentioned the pandemic, obviously, that we can't control. But when we were initially trying to present the idea of Kingless, we shared a lot of gameplay footage, and our initial opening video was beautifully crafted and really well made, telling the story, our story of how we came to create the project. But we kind of missed a fundamental point, I believe, in this, and this was shared by some of our backers, that we didn't really do a video demonstration of how the game actually played. We had amazing B-roll of people playing the game and having a wonderful time playing it, but we didn't truly explain in-depth mechanics or like an actual playthrough of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Like as potential backers who are spending their hard-earned, they do want to know whether they're even going to enjoy it or not.
Yeah.
So we scrambled to see what we could do to give them a really down-to-earth idea of how the actual game plays out, and see whether it fit their style.
I'll jump in, Alex. We were smack bang in the middle of lockdown at this point. We couldn't even get together to try and record some gameplay footage, and we quickly roped Nathan in to do a voiceover of some gameplay. We played some rounds of Kingless using Tabletop Simulator, and Nathan did a really good voiceover
Really
explaining
commentary skills.
yeah, explaining some of the gameplay.
Try to do it in one take too.
It is hard to record a multi-minute example of something flawlessly. But, you did your best, and it did give people a bit of an idea as to how Kingless actually plays out, what the rules are. We had them written as another document, which, interestingly enough, is yet another thing we wouldn't do that way again, because we were able to share with people a plain text version of the rules, because we were tinkering with the final wording of these, not necessarily with how the rules worked, but in how everything we wrote could be interpreted, because we wanted people to read this and get a correct understanding first time, no matter who they were, their background, or their ability. So context and the nuance of the words you use just became very important to us. So what we had was a plain text version of the rules, not the fully formatted, beautiful version that we ended up packaging in each of the boxes. Which, looking back, I would hold out until we had that finalised, fully processed, nice-looking version to go with them.
Yeah, that leads into the marketing side of it, making sure that we can present our best foot forward, and being able to share that confidence. I'm not suggesting the rules weren't confidence inspiring, but at that stage, going in with something more polished would have been a better approach, I believe. Pledge tiers was, again, this was our first time on Kickstarter, first time running a Kickstarter campaign. So we were sort of still trying to find our feet around different pledge tiers and stretch goals and things like that. After the huge amount of feedback that we had from our backers and people who were interested in the campaign, we missed the boat on that one. We should have had more options, and this is something we will take away in the future and look into. But yeah, being able to give people more freedom and flexibility, I built,
Yeah, exactly. It's an
the way
interesting
they
example. It's not something that we did wrong or didn't do necessarily to its fullest, but Kickstarter, gamers on Kickstarter love these higher tiers. People responded really well to our limited edition tier, and we were just thinking, throughout the whole Kickstarter, that we wished we had more tiers to give them, because they responded so well, and there was so much enthusiasm for spending a bit more to support the project and get something unique and something a little bit special.
So it wasn't all doom and gloom, though. We had some good takeaways, I think, from the whole project. We successfully manufactured and distributed Kingless all around the world to all of our backers, for example. We had 388 backers on the Kickstarter campaign. We reached over 200% of our funding goal, which was amazing. We're just blown away by it. I still can't believe it, 2 years later, that we managed to do that. And everyone had the confidence. All of our backers had the confidence in us, in our product and Kingless, and yeah, amazing. I'm still blown away by it.
Yeah, for a first project, I'm just still impressed, grateful, really.
Absolutely, yeah. It's it's turned 219 from an idea and a concept into our company, and given us the freedom to be able to build more projects and all of the things that we're currently working on. Alex, tell us a little bit about some of our backers.
They were very, very dedicated people. Lots of them engaged with the project in just fantastic ways. They stepped up, commented, they messaged us. We had some lengthy conversations with some of them. A few of them we kept having email conversations with long after the project, just staying in touch and talking. Many of them ended up coming from Kickstarter itself. We were in contact with some staff members from Kickstarter, because you do while you run a project. And the percentages of people coming through from Kickstarter, just browsing and seeing Kingless and seeing it and pledging. I can't quite remember the exact percentages, but I believe it was something like 20% higher than they typically expect. So we were very happy with that, and then the sheer passion that some of these people were able to bring forward. Many of them had great ideas for ways that we could take the Kingless idea. Sadly, none of which we took advantage from, but that was because of how far we'd already developed the game. But the creative mind of some of these fans, and their ability to maybe string some mechanics together and things, like, it's a wonder that some of them haven't gone off and created their own game. I'm sure a few of them have by now.
Yeah, and often some of these backers of ours were also developers of games themselves. You know, as we are when we back other projects on Kickstarter, it's, you know, we know exactly what it's like to be on the other side of the fence and be able to have people passionate about your project is awesome. But yeah, I mean, we got so much positive feedback from the whole process. The comments we got were amazing. As you said, a lot of them flowed into social media after Kickstarter had finished, moved us, you know, through to the next phase of our company and being able to continually sell and promote Kingless worldwide.
Yeah, in particular, I enjoyed reading some of the comments they left on the Kickstarter today, because, of course, anyone who's familiar with Kickstarter knows that your project actually stays up there as sort of a record of what has happened. And reading through some of them saying how great they thought the project was or how much they enjoyed the game, it's just fantastic to see once you put something in their hands.
Brown, what was your favourite part of the Kickstarter process?
Ooh. I mean, it's just when we hit 100%, like, whoa, what a feeling, you know? That was, that was definitely the peak. Although, you know, hitting 200% just before the end, that was good too. But you can't outrate.
What did we actually end on? Like 203% or something? It was just over
202, 201. It was a hair's more.
Just over. Yeah. I agree. It was what a feeling. It was amazing. Just knowing, you know, halfway through that we were funded and it was like, wow, this is actually happening now.
It's gonna happen.
Amazing.
So on the side, we had that. I think it was through the backer or the pledge manager, or it played like we'd be online working on it, obviously, and then it played music every time you got a backer. That is a little smoky. I love that. You're just there tapping away, working away at it, and then the music goes. You're like, yes.
Play some sounds.
Every one of them.
That was great. I completely forgot about that. Yeah.
If I remember correctly, Seb, you put the monitor in your office. You had that up with a sort of a
big dashboard.
I don't even know what to call it. A dashboard showing the project for the entire length of the project.
I don't know whether that was very good for my mental health. That was quite a stressful. I don't know. It was great, but
when it hit 3 digits,
you were just number watching. Could never stop looking at it.
No, I remember the first night we launched actually may have been one of my favourite moments. Just putting it live, watching an initial surge of people come in, and the sheer enthusiasm of everyone that had decided to do it the first day, and put it on there, notify me when it launched. Yeah. That was a heady time. There is the risk as the fear of a creator as you watch whether it will fund or not. Because we set a very realistic target that covered all the risks. You don't really want these people that set a target so low they run into issues with funding. So we set a very realistic target, and we were pretty confident after the first day that it was going to make it to that target, even with it set quite high. As largely thanks to the enthusiasm of those early supporters.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my favorite moment throughout the Kickstarter process was just communicating with our backers, having those conversations, being able to hear people's thoughts and the challenges that we had. You know, we had so many comments, like we said earlier, about people wanting to know how the game played, but then that was for us. Well, how do we quickly turn this around? And we produced stuff so unbelievably quickly to get it into people's hands. And the speed that we did that, they were so grateful for it. And it was great to be able to see the reaction of people, to know that we are here to, you know, provide as much information as we can, as best we can, and as quickly as we can. It was great. Yeah. Just the feedback we got from the fans and the backers and everyone who enjoys the project, amazing. Such a good feeling. That was
excellent.
Great. Okay. We're going to wrap up here, I think. Hopefully next time we will be back with Bianca to run the show.
I think you've done all
Hopefully
right,
this wasn't
Seb.
too stressful. We'll see. We'll see when the episode comes out. But how do we finish this thing? Follow us on the
Yes.
socials. Follow us on all of our pipes. We're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube,
Check out
Facebook.
episode 2 if you haven't already.
Episode 2 will be out tomorrow.
Boom, boom.
We'll have a lot more information on our upcoming Club 219, where you'll be able to get a lot more behind the scenes. And yeah,
Don't forget to visit
If
us
you want
at
anything-
PAX. Get along.
come and see us at PAX. Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.